What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the podcast, Talking with Beauties, episode 122, the Wednesday news. And on today's episode, we're going to talk about college football because week 0 is this weekend. Plus, Patrick Laine has a new team, so we're going to discuss that. And lastly, U.S. men's national team has a new manager finally. But first, let's head into the MLB. Yes, we are in a new setup today. I'm trying something new. We are back in Arizona for school. School starts Thursday for me, so that sucks. But hey, last semester, so I want to get it done so we get back home to California as soon as possible. But new setup, we're trying something different. It is super hot outside. I think today's 108. On Tuesday at the high. I can't turn off this AC. If I turn off this AC, I'm going to be sweating balls here, and I can't do that to myself. Last year, I did it for you guys, and it was miserable to try and record episodes. So I can't do that. So if you hear something in the background, it's just the AC running. I can't do anything about it. So this is probably the best setup I can do with the AC running, because back over there is the old setup where the table is, where I would sit. Over there with the Talking with Beauty signs for my sister. Thank you, Jillian. Sorry it will not be featured in this episode, but the AC unit is right up there. So I don't want to put anything closer to that when it comes to the mic. So I'm trying my best. So if you hear some white noise, that's probably what it is. So I'm going to try my best to eliminate that as much as possible. But obviously, I'm not here to sweat my ass off trying to record these episodes. I hope you guys don't mind it too much there. But first, let's get into MLB. So we'll start off with outright waiver claims and people that have been placed on it. We'll start off with the waiver claims. Cincinnati Reds have claimed Ahmed Rosario off of the waivers from the Dodgers. Dodgers put him on waivers last week in order to make room for Mookie Betts, who is back in the lineup. Plus, they made some other moves to get Max Muncy back in here, and he was in the lineup last night on Monday night, got a big home run, ended up beating the Mariners in that game. So a lot of moves for the Dodgers, ends up benefiting the Reds in this one. Then we'll get into the releases now. Elias Diaz has been put on outright waivers from Colorado. DFA'd Hector Neris from the Cubs. He is already cleared waivers, so he is a free agent now. And St. Louis also has released Brandon Crawford. Didn't even finish a full year over there in St. Louis. That's tough for all three of those guys, but I think Diaz is going to be one of those guys that's definitely going to get picked up, and Neris could help out a bullpen, but I'm not too sure what his numbers are. I'll pop them up right there or something like that. So maybe his numbers aren't good enough to get on the team, but usually a lot of teams are looking for bullpen strengthening, so potential on a new team, but just won't be the Cubs. Mentioned the Dodgers earlier. We're going to go back to LA. We got some news on the injuries. Tyler Glasnow was replaced on the IL with a right elbow tendonitis. That's tough news. He hasn't been off of the IL for that long, so for him to go right back on it, that's a tough situation there for the Dodgers. Plus, Freddie Freeman has a hairline fracture in his finger from the game this past weekend in St. Louis. He says he'll play through it, so we'll see how much is going to bother him, if at all. But he doesn't seem to be too worried about it. So as a Dodger fan, I don't know if you guys would be worried about it. I wouldn't worry too much. But if you do see something that's maybe not normal for Freddie, that's probably the reason why. Milwaukee announced that Christian Yelich will be officially out for the season with a back surgery scheduled. We mentioned this, I think, probably a couple weeks ago, that was likely for him to be out for the rest of the season. And now it's official. He will get that back surgery, and he will be done the rest of the year. Cincinnati Reds have placed Hunter Green on the 15-day IL. That's starting pitcher for them, right elbow soreness, so that's tough news. Another elbow injury to a starting pitcher, so hopefully Green comes back and he's able to help out that Red squad. And lastly, to talk about MLB, we're going to talk about the 6-inning minimums for starting pitchers. This is something that MLB has been considering for a little while now. Now it's becoming a little bit more closer to reality. I mean, I'm hearing a lot of noise about the MLB considering this 6-inning minimum, and if that is the case, I looked at a few things and also past experiences of this news coming out. This is honestly what could happen. You got 6 innings minimum for starting pitching. If you make it at 6 innings, there are no repercussions. Obviously, you could go further into those games if you can. The other thing is, if you can't get to those 6 innings, things like losing your DH spot would be counted into this. So teams like the Dodgers would definitely have to be automatic 6 innings for their starters because they can't lose Shohei in those games. Injuries would be another kind of a gray area as of right now. Don't know how they're going to be able to regulate that. From one family friend, shout out Herb, I discussed with him this past weekend about it, and he was saying he read something about with the injuries, you automatically go on the 10 or 15-day IL. Actually, I'm okay with that if that's going to mean you kind of regulate these potential injuries on coming out earlier than 6 innings, but that is something that they could do. They could say automatic 10 to 15-day IL. In that case, it would be, if it's a 10-day, most likely only 1.5 starts, theoretically only 1 start for that pitcher. So that's really honestly not that bad. But if you put on the 15, that means at least 2, maybe 3 starts, depending on how many people are in the rotation. So if that is the case, I mean, that's a bigger punishment there and definitely a good way to regulate that. So I would be all in for 15-day IL automatically if you have to take out a pitcher due to an injury. But I think a lot of teams actually would be okay with losing a DH spot if that 6-inning minimum were to come. It would be a lot of strategic play. You would have to look into your bench, obviously. You can't run a power team with the best top 9 batters and hopefully get 6 innings every game out of your pitcher. It's not a reality. So you're going to have to look into more depth guys in your lineup for those GMs. So it's going to be a lot of changing your roster. It's going to be a lot of managing that salary that you can and cannot spend on certain players and positions. For example, a team like the Dodgers, as we said earlier, have to go those 6 innings. But let's say theoretically they bring in a rookie star down in the minors. They bring him up for first game. Maybe that's a game you don't start Shohei Ohtani as your DH. Maybe that's a game you start, I don't want to say like anybody's bad, but let's just throw Max Muncy out there. He doesn't hit very well. He's not a great fielder, but if that kid does go 6 innings, you keep Max Muncy in for a full game. You give Shohei a day off. Maybe Shohei comes in late in the game for a 1 or 2 at-bats for Muncy or somebody else. So it's just the kind of thing where it's going to be strategic on the managers, the GMs, and everybody who's playing out there. So it's going to be a lot of new kind of, strategies towards this, but I think it could be very good for the MLB, for teams moving forward, especially because starting pitching has been very irrelevant, honestly, since Paul Skeens has came back into this league. I think he's kind of revived that starting pitching importance there. So who knows? Maybe this will pass, maybe this won't, but those are just my thoughts and feelings on the 9-inning or 6-inning minimum for starting pitchers. All right, let's head to the NHL now, where we're going to start off with hiring in the NHL's Department of Player Safety. Yeah, why are we talking about this? Because it is Anaheim Ducks former captain Ryan Getzlaf who is going to be hired. He's going to be working alongside George Peros, who is a past teammate of Getzlaf for 6 years back in Anaheim. Obviously, if you guys don't know, my favorite team is Anaheim, so I am very much in the news about this. Thought you guys would like to know. Hopefully Getzlaf is not now disliked by most of the media, where Peros is definitely not a fan favorite anymore. I think a lot of Anaheim fans do like him when he came to his time in Anaheim, but when he did put that suspension on Andrew Cogliano, I think 2014 or 15, which messed up that Ironman streak, I think a lot of eyes did not go his way. So who knows, maybe Getzlaf changes the system. I doubt it, but hopefully it doesn't make him the most disliked person when it comes to suspensions or hits or something like that. So hopefully we get a good balance of likes to dislikes with Getzlaf's hiring. We got two trades to talk about. We'll start off with the smaller one earlier in the week. Edmonton and San Jose have swapped players. Edmonton gets Ty Emberson, and San Jose gets Cody Ceci and a 2025 third-round pick. I think it's actually a pretty good trade for San Jose. They have a lot of money to spend. Cody Ceci has been one of the guys in Edmonton that's kind of been relied on as that first, second, not so much third-line defenseman. So top defenseman for them, top four guy in Edmonton. So I think him going to San Jose is actually going to be pretty good with the younger kids there. Maybe he could put some, I guess, wisdom into the young guys. But we'll have to see, obviously. And they also get a third-round pick in this one. Ty Emberson, don't know too much about it, but hopefully Edmonton's able to kind of develop him into a good player because they are going to be losing Philip Broberg and Dylan Holloway because of those qualifying offers from last week. They announced that they were not going to match those offers, so those guys are going to St. Louis. Maybe Emberson finds the way in the lineup with one of those two guys' positions there. All right, trade number 2, we have Montreal and Columbus. As we talked at the top of the show, Patrick Laine is the one that's going to be moved. Him and a 2026 second-round pick is going to Montreal in exchange for Jordan Harrison. So I don't really care too much about Harrison and what Columbus got in this one. Mainly just going to talk about Laine here. Laine going to Montreal, very surprising in my eyes. I don't know why Montreal needs him. I don't know why they really want him. Laine has not done well his past couple seasons in Columbus. Obviously, the mental health problems have not been great to his record. But I think Laine, potentially a new home, could benefit him. Going back to Canada could also help. I mean, obviously, you guys probably know that he was in Winnipeg. So him going over to Montreal could end up helping him in the long term. But we're just going to have to wait and see with that one. Personally, I'm not too excited about this one, but it is surprising that Montreal was the one to pick him up. Now we head to Nashville, where goalie prospect Yaroslav Arsakov. I'm probably butchering that, but top goalie prospect in the league, definitely in Nashville's system, has requested a trade out of Nashville due to that big contract signing of UC Saros. Yaroslav pretty much has said, I don't think I'm going to make a spot here, not being out Saros. He's not really giving much of a chance. He's pretty much an everyday starter in Milwaukee, the minor league team for the Preds. So I don't think he really has a chance to make an impact in Nashville. So I'm not surprised to see him move on to a new club. So we'll see when that happens, but I think it's going to be a pricey tag for Yaroslav, a very good goaltender prospect. Philadelphia Flyers announced that they're going to be terminating the contract of Ryan Johansson. Weird situation. Supposedly it is due to material breach, whatever that's supposed to mean. Johansson actually never played a game in the Flyers uniform. He was traded at the deadline over there, and because of injury, never played the rest of the season, and surprisingly will be terminated the rest of his contract. So weird situation, but I guess we'll have to see what happens this unfolding, but this happened on Tuesday morning, so we don't know too much information besides that. Seattle announced that they extended Matty Beniers to 7 years, 7.1 AAV. I'm actually very happy about this. I think Matty Beniers has had a very good couple of seasons in Seattle. I mean, last season was not all that great, but all-star rookie season for him. I definitely could see him bouncing back to that all-star form, and I think Matty Beniers in Seattle could be a long-term superstar. And I think 7 years, 7.1 is very friendly of a contract. I think in the long term, we're going to look back and be like, that's actually a very good steal of a contract. So hopefully that does end up being the case. But congrats to Matty Beniers, because that's a nice little paycheck there. All right, last thing to talk about, we got Winter Classic jersey news. So usually these don't come out until, I'd say, probably 2 months before the game starts. And the game this year will, oddly enough, be on December 31st because of the calendar. I think the calendar year is on a Sunday, and they don't want to conflict with NFL. Which obviously you're not going to have good ratings against NFL. So it's going to be the first Winter Classic to be held with another Winter Classic. It's the first time we're going to have 2 Winter Classics in 1 year. So all the jersey logos won't have a year on them. They usually only have the one logo on. They won't have a year on it, obviously, because they want to kind of push away that it's in 2024. But anyways, let's get into the uniform, where we see the Chicago Blackhawks have unfortunately been leaked. This uniform is a red jersey. We can see that logo on the front. It's a circle logo with the text around it being Blackhawks on top, Chicago underneath. Separating the two texts are the stars from the Chicago flag. You see that 2 on each side. And inside the middle, you see a smaller version of the classic Chicago Blackhawks logo that we see on the front of the uniform with every home game and every away game. I think one of the best and classic logos from the original 6, and a very nice embroidered jersey logo. I'll show you guys some pictures. I'm probably already posted the pictures right now. Very awesome stitching. I don't know what they call that stitching. If I can figure out the name, I'll pop it up now. But very nice uniform stitching there. Behind the logo, though, we see 5 stripes. 3 of them are a vintage white or off-white, whatever one you want to call it. I heard that they call it vintage white, so I'm going to call it vintage white the rest of the video. And 2 black stripes, so alternating vintage white and black stripes behind the uniform logo, and that's bleeding onto the arms, where we see another logo. We don't see the numbers. We see a logo, the C with the tomahawk cross. Same logo we see on the shoulder patches of their normal uniforms, but this is recolorized to be not to see no green or yellow. It's going to be black, the vintage white, and red to match the rest of the uniform, which I think those colors actually look really good. I would love to see that on the white uniform, the normal one. I just want to see what the balance would look like there. But I really like that stylization of that coloring there. Then we see on the back of the uniform, no numbers. That Fanatics flag obviously is on the top where the Adidas logo used to be. But we also see that the stripes do not carry on to the back of the uniform, which I think is okay. I think that makes it easier for us to see these numbers, especially in a Winter Classic or outdoor game in general. It's hard to see players' names, numbers, even who they are. So to have those bigger numbers, easier to read from further away, is a necessity in these games, especially for the fans. Because on TV, pretty much the same thing. We know who's out there, we can see it, but when you're there in the stands, it's definitely harder to see. So you want to see those bigger numbers on the back, not making it difficult to see. Right? I'm glad that they did not carry those stripes to the back. On the collar, we see the vintage white and black, and that's replicated at the bottom of the uniform, which I think looks pretty good. It matches the back of the striping of the front of the uniform. So I think all in all, very nice uniform. It sucks that we got this thing so early, because usually everyone likes the hype of, oh, what colors is going to be, what's it going to look like, all that. And we got this thing before the season even started, so I'm very surprised to see that. Unfortunate for the Blackhawks, because obviously the marketing team loves to just kind of make awesome videos, photo shoots, and things like that. That will not be the case for the Hawks, at least not so hyped up. But what do I score this thing out of 10? 7.9. I don't think it's a bad uniform. I don't think it's a great uniform. I think it's one of those that might actually kind of be forgotten after maybe 5, 6, 7 years. It won't be, I don't think one of those that we look back and be like, oh, that's a great Chicago Blackhawk uniform, or even just outdoor game uniform, but I don't really see too many problems with it. I would just like to see what the font style is on these numbers. Hopefully they don't go with something kind of like bland. I'm hoping a little bit more stylized of the font on the front of the uniform with that Blackhawks font on there. So hopefully something a little different there than just block numbers, but who knows? Got something to look forward to with that. And obviously St. Louis has not been released there, so we have another uniform to wait for when it comes to the Winter Classic. All right, let's head to college football now, where we finally have college football. But before we talk about anything of week 0, we got some news earlier this week. Actually, we got 2 new uniforms and something very different out of OK State. We'll start off with the new uniforms. Obviously, got to use a little bit of bias here. We're going to go and talk about Arizona State's new gold uniforms. This is a primary gold jersey with maroon numbers, silver outlining on the numbers, and the name across the front, which says Arizona State, which I am actually very excited to see that thing back on the front. The uniforms that they have now, they're black, maroon, and white uniforms. Don't have anything across the front of the uniform, just the numbers. Nothing saying Sun Devils, nothing saying Arizona State. Honestly, I hate the uniforms they have now. It makes it so difficult to be like, oh, who are we playing? Oh, we're playing, I don't know. If you didn't know we were playing Arizona State, you wouldn't know. So I wish that they had something across the front underneath the collar there above the numbers, and I'm glad they brought it back in these gold uniforms, which will be in the arsenal now. So we have 4 uniforms this upcoming season, so that's cool. In the pictures, they actually show us with the candy apple maroon helmets, which is also a fan favorite. I'm actually a really big fan of that, color shifting from maroon to gold depending on the lighting. Very cool there. And they also have gold pants in this one, so it's a lot of gold. It's a lot going on there, but I think it looks pretty solid. It's different. We've seen it recently. I will pop up a picture of the most recent gold uniform, which I think actually looks better than the one we just released. So this one that I'm showing a picture of has the maroon arms, has the star from the flag with the sunburst behind it, so a little bit more to that uniform compared to the one that is now, where it is gold all the way down to the sleeves, but it does have those numbers, the TV numbers is what they call it. So that's the trade-off, TV numbers or the flag replication there. I personally like the flag replication a little bit better. So what do I give this uniform? 6.2 out of 10. I don't think it's great. I don't think it's outstanding, but I think it balances well with the rest of the uniform combinations that Arizona State is going to be having this upcoming season. And I think these uniforms are going to be kind of like the Blackhawks uniforms that we talked about earlier, kind of forgotten, because I think they're going to be overshadowed by the uniforms from the past that were gold. But I think there's some positives to it. Like, I like the Arizona State across the front. I like the numbers. I like the font being used, but it is, all in all, it's just gold. But I think it's going to work well overall with Arizona State's arsenal. Let's head into another uniform, South Carolina. So here's some pictures of it. It's a red jersey, very vintage looking uniform. White numbers, not outlined in anything, white collar, and across the front, above the numbers, underneath the collar, we have Carolina in capital block text. Personally, the uniform's kind of boring, kind of like Arizona State, just a solid color with some numbers slapped onto it. But I think Carolina's looks better than Arizona State's. I like those two colors together, that shade of red with that white. I think it looks nice. It looks vintage. I think it looks pretty solid. The helmet, we're seeing stars from, I believe, the South Carolina flag. I'll correct myself if I'm wrong, but I think I am correct on that one. On the front of the helmet, and we got the classic C with the Gamecock on the sides. Down the middle, we have it's a black, white, red stripe down the middle, and white-based helmet with a red face mask. So overall, I think the helmet looks fine. Implements a little bit of the South Carolina flag there. I like the colors being used here. So overall, I'm giving it a 6.8 out of 10. I don't think it's anything special. It doesn't make me want to go out and buy it at all. But I don't see much wrong with it. I think it looks fine. But I think the implementing the black into the uniforms of their past home uniforms have looked better than just going the red and white route. So that's just my opinion. But still, solid score. Nothing to complain about there. Now let's head to Oklahoma State, where we have news that they're going to be having QR codes on the back of the helmets. Very interesting. Don't know what they were until I opened up the article and found out that they are links to players' NIL funds. I personally do not like this idea. I don't like NIL at all. I understand the reason behind it, but I think because of NIL, it's changed college football so much that it's hard to comprehend what's going on. And I mean, we just have to accept it now, and I've accepted it. Even though I don't like it, I have accepted NIL deals. But I don't know, putting this on the back of your helmet or even on your uniform is what it's probably going to come to next, is the right move. I don't know if other teams will follow. This is the first team to announce they're doing this. So It's something different. It's something I've never seen or heard before. Never heard of like any sort of players organization on the back of baseball helmets or other football helmets. Never heard anything like that before. So I don't know how they're going to be able to continue this on. It's also going to be difficult because honestly, like when do you have time to scan a QR code? It's not immediate. You got to give it some time. Players aren't going to stand still for you to scan the QR code unless you get their attention. So it's going to be kind of weird. The intentions, I think, is fine and good, but I don't think the execution is there. So who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe OK State's figured it out, and that's the best way to do it to help fund these college athletes. But I don't know, something different, something weird. All right, finally, let's head into week 0. Let's head into the top games of the weekend. We actually only have 4 games, so of course, every game is a top week this weekend. We'll start off with number 10, Florida State, visiting Georgia Tech, but they're also visiting because we're seeing this game in Dublin, Ireland. International game, just like the Notre Dame Navy game last year, which was not a very good game, but very fun to just see the atmosphere. Florida State ranked 10th in the country. Should be very fun. They're the only ranked team this weekend to be playing, so definitely a good team to watch. New quarterback DJ Uyunglele looking to kind of spark a really good ACC conference play against potentially okay Georgia Tech team. Then we got Montana State versus New Mexico. Montana State's favored in this one by 11.5 on the road against New Mexico Lobos. Should be interesting of a game. SMU opens up their ACC games. Unfortunately, not against an ACC opponent, but starts off their schedule against Nevada on the road. Opening this one 25.5 point favorite. So who knows what's going to happen there. Nevada being a home team, you might want to lean into that. New conference for SMU. Maybe a little bit of nerves there, but SMU is SMU. You got to expect them to win this game there. And lastly, Delaware State versus Hawaii. Hawaii's a 39-point favorite in this one. Delaware State actually has a 10.5-hour flight that they actually missed due to some bus misscheduling and things like that. So they're not even out there in Hawaii yet, meaning that I think that number 39 is probably going to go up. I don't see Delaware State winning this game at all. Hawaii's got home field advantage big time in this one, so the Rainbow Warriors should be okay in that. But those are your top games of the weekend. All right, let's bring back upsets. We're going to go back to our upsets pick from last week, or last season, which was a lot of fun. I actually did pretty well at those, picking at least the covers, if not a couple outright wins. This week, we only got 4 games, week 0, so you can count it, you can not, but I'm still going to give you an upset pick. Let me remind you of the rules. Upset picks have to be a 3.5 or greater point underdog in that one. You get 2 points for a cover, 3 bonus points for an outright win, from a 3.5 to a 6.5 cover, and 5 extra points if it's a 7-point cover or greater. So this week, what team am I picking? I'm picking New Mexico, 11.5 point favorite against the Bobcats of Montana State. They're the home team. I think that's going to give them a little bit of the edge there. Montana State is a good team, don't get me wrong, but I think New Mexico, being the home team, will at least make this one close. First game of the year, who knows? Anything could happen. I don't like Delaware State, I don't like Nevada, and I don't like Georgia Tech in any of those games to make it close. Personally, maybe Nevada has the best chance to make it close, covering that 25.5, but I feel more confident in the Lobos of New Mexico. So that is my upset pick of this upcoming weekend. All right, let's head to the cleanup. We'll start off in the NFL. We had a trade, a quick little one. New England picks up a 3rd-round pick in exchange for Matt Judon, who's going to Atlanta. That should booster that Falcons team a little bit more there. Buffalo linebacker Matt Milano left practice with a torn bicep. He will be out indefinitely. Possible for return in December, depending on how surgery goes and rehabbing, obviously. Stephon Gilmore signs a 1-year, $10 million contract with the Minnesota Vikings. Curious to see where that's going to go. Not too excited of the signing in my eyes. And Las Vegas announced that Gardner Minshew will be the starter week 1 for the Raiders. So that's big news for what did they call it? Like Minshew Madness or whatever they call the fans of Gardner Minshew. But Gardner Minshew got the starting job over Aiden O'Connell. Let's head to soccer now, where Marco Reus, all-star middle fielder, for Dortmund, has signed a 2.5-year contract with the LA Galaxy, the MLS. He will be there for the rest of this season, plus 2 additional years, and who knows if he'll hang him up after that. I'm actually very excited for this. Galaxy really don't make a lot of these signings as a recent history of big names in halfway mark of the season. So bring in a guy like Marco Reus, I think is definitely going to help out that midfield and Galaxy all in general. But the Galaxy have looked good all season long. So will this mess up chemistry? Will this boost it? I'm hoping it boosts it. But still very excited to see Marco Reus in the MLS. And we got AS Roma's Paulo Dybala is closing in on a deal to Saudi Arabian club Al Qadish. Doubt I'm saying that correctly, but Dybala going to Saudi Arabia seems like it's almost a done deal. I'm hearing it's potentially 3 years. The money is undisclosed right now because it's not official, but that could be a big move for Dybala. Chelsea is bringing back João Felix to the club for 6 years on a transfer from Atletico Madrid. I'm not surprised. João Felix has looked very good, but I'm surprised Madrid is okay with him moving on. I think Chelsea played very well last year, actually. I didn't think they did that bad in a very good top 6 Premier League. So I think João Felix could actually boost that team a lot. So we'll see what happens with that. Lastly, from soccer, U.S. men's national team coach has been announced. It is not officially official, but they have agreed to terms. Mauricio Pochettino, I believe is how you say it. I will learn that name pretty soon. I'll hear it more often. But I think it's Pochettino has agreed to terms to be the new manager. Most recently was at Chelsea. Managed 51 games, 27, 10, and 14 record over there at Chelsea after just one season. Hearing a lot of kind of talks that it was actually very surprising that Chelsea had let him walk away and moved it over to a new manager who I'm hearing is not as good as Pochettino. So if that is the case, I think the U.S. should give it a thumbs up and be very excited that Pochettino is coming to the U.S. He also managed PSG and Tottenham, also a couple other squads, but those were his most recent ones for Pochettino. I think I'm very excited to see what's happening here. The U.S. is going to have a very tough time between here and 2026 to get better. We did not see a good Copa America appearance from the U.S., and I don't think there's a lot of time to fix this team. So you got to go with what you have now. Maybe there's enough friendly games that you could take away from Pochettino, that Pochettino can take away from the team, make them better or improve upon, or potentially just scrap it all together, make a full new squad, and put out a really good product for 2026, because this is probably the biggest event when it's going to come to U.S. soccer in 2026. And if we don't make a good showing, it's going to set the U.S. back a lot. And obviously, I don't want that. U.S. fans don't want that. I don't think anybody in the Federation would love to see a bad showing once again, because Copa America was not good. And if we have a bad showing in 2026, it's going to be very ugly for the future of the U.S. men's national team. Last news of the cleanup, we're heading to college swimming. Yes, college swimming, first time they've ever been appeared on this podcast. But it's weird news because Notre Dame is suspending the men's swimming team for at least 1 year due to prohibited gambling. I'm hearing that it's almost like they were gambling within the program, either based off of their times compared to other people's times, obviously including money in this, or they were also betting on other athletes off to the side. They weren't making this very public, but I guess it was loud enough to get towards the AD and suspend Notre Dame men's swimming for at least 1 whole year. So they said at least 1 year, so who knows if that's more, but it's not a good look for Notre Dame there. All right, let's head to the games of the weekend. We got MLB Houston versus Baltimore, 3-game set. Little League Baseball World Series championship game. Obviously, we don't know who's in that yet, but that will be on Sunday, 10 p.m. on ABC. We head to racing, where we start off with NASCAR, Daytona International Speedway, Saturday, 4:30 on NBC. And we got F1, the Heineken Dutch Grand Prix, Sunday, 6 a.m. on ESPN. And we head to soccer, where we got Bundesliga, Dortmund versus Frankfurt, Saturday at 9:30 a.m. ESPN+. We did the English Premier League. We got Aston Villa versus Arsenal, Saturday at 9:30 a.m. And we have La Liga with Real Madrid versus Valladolid, Sunday, 8 a.m. ESPN+. And lastly, college football. What is the best game of the weekend? Obviously, number 10, Florida State versus Georgia Tech. That is on Saturday, 9 a.m. on ESPN. All right, guys, that will do it for this episode. Thank you guys for listening. 122 episodes in the books. Hopefully, the AC was not too much of a nuisance there, but I appreciate you guys bearing with me if you made it this far to the episode. If you have, though, hit that like, hit that subscribe, because that helps make the channel more public to everybody else. I definitely love making these episodes, but it also makes it very difficult when no one is watching a lot of them. So I want to get more viewers. So make sure you guys like, subscribe, share it to your family, friends, mention it to people, because we got Sports Jeopardy coming this weekend. Episode 3 of the semifinals, the last spot in the championship game. If you have not watched the first 2, go watch them, because they are so funny, so much fun. Quick little 15, 16-minute episodes too, so it's not going to be too much of a burden on your day. But those are YouTube exclusives, so you guys are on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. We appreciate you, but go check out the YouTube channel so you can watch those YouTube exclusive episodes. But I appreciate you guys listening to this one. Watch some college football, watch some Sports Jeopardy. Have an awesome weekend. Stay cool out there, and we'll see you guys later.